Joining me right now in a Fox Business Network exclusive, Eli Lilly Chairman and CEO, John Lechleiter. John, good to see you. Always wonderful to have you on the program. Welcome.
Morning, Maria. Happy New Year.
How would you characterize things? What drove the quarter?
Well, we got 5% reported growth. A big part of that comes from the impact of owning Novartis Animal Health. We closed that deal with Novartis early in 2015. We now have the third largest animal health business in the world to complement our pharmaceutical business. Then on the pharma side, that growth was led by two of our new products, Trulicity, this is our diabetes medicine, and Cyramza for the treatment of various forms of cancer. So we're starting to see the impact of these new product launches that began in 2014.
Yeah, tell me about the cancer treatment and specifically where the cancer is in terms of that drug and what it targets.
Well, Cyramza is the first drug that came out of our ImClone acquisition back in 2008. In succession, in 2014, we achieved approval for treatment of gastric cancer in second line, both the drug alone and in combination with other chemotherapy. And then subsequently, we received approval for treatment of lung cancer in the second line as well, and then colorectal cancer following that. So three different kinds of cancers that all seem to respond in some way to this particular drug.
Really important stuff. And of course, diabetes, we all know that the leading killer in the U.S. is heart disease. In terms of the diabetes drug, Americans are wondering when they're going to get a break in terms of pricing. What can you tell us about the price of these drugs and your efforts to keep prices affordable?
Well, I think it's something that we think about and pay a lot of attention to, Maria. When you look at our results for the year, our reported sales grew 2%. That was depressed about 6% by exchange rate, but of the remainder, 7% of our growth in 2015 came from volume, and only 1% of our growth came from price. You know, I think that the price of medicines needs to be kept in perspective. Today, 4 out of 5 prescriptions that Americans get from the drugstore are generic drugs. In other words, generic versions of medicines that we pioneered, typically available at a very low price. We're concerned and we want Americans to have access to our medicines. This is why we have various access programs in place. It's also why the industry, Maria, has consistently supported the American people getting access to quality insurance. Because we know how important medicines are for overall health care. You know, another thing I like to say is the discussion today tends to be about expensive medicines. What's really expensive is disease. Okay, Alzheimer's disease is going to cost this country hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars left on its current trajectory through 2050. We've been working for 27 years, investing billions ourselves in Alzheimer's research. Nothing has come out of that yet. We're hopeful, but I think this is what we all aspire to, and I think this has to be a part of this discussion and debate.
Look, I think this is a great point that you're making, John, because we all know that Alzheimer's is one of those diseases that we're still learning about. We're learning so much about the brain. If you live till 85, apparently 1 in 2 people will get Alzheimer's, and there is not a cure. And I know that you're collaborating with Roche Diagnostics on this diagnostic tool. I don't know how much that would go for in terms of if we were to see a cure for Alzheimer's. I've got Anastasia Amoroso here from JP Morgan. But this is the kind of thing, Anastasia, that people say, don't tell me about caps on drugs, because we want to get the investment from the private sector to actually continue working to find that cure for Alzheimer's.
That's right. I mean, drug pricing is really a very important issue for the consumer, but we get it. This is about financial results. So, John, my question to you on the financial results aspect, I know foreign exchange was a big impact on earnings last quarter. The U.S. dollar is still up about 9% year over year. Is it still a big impact? Can you quantify that for us? And I guess the broader question is, we know there's an FX translation impact, but is this also deterring your revenue generation as you do sell to quite a few other countries?
Well, I think, as you know, early last year, we saw an almost unprecedented strengthening of the dollar against a lot of the currencies that are important to us. Although that has slowed down somewhat, however, currency translation, the stronger dollar continues to be something of a drag for companies like Lilly that have roughly 50% of our sales outside the U.S. Having said that, I think like many businesses, we run our business trying to see through the currency fluctuations, which are inevitable and which are difficult to predict and control. And just as currency, a stronger dollar can hurt us on the revenue line, it helps us on the expense line, and you know, it depending on how it moves can help us at our gross margin line. So we have a little bit of natural hedging at Lilly, but there's no question when you look back at 2015, you know, this took $1 billion or so out of our revenue, the fact that the euro and the yen in particular were weaker.
What are the odds that we go into recession this year, John?
You know, I'm not an economist.
I know, but what does your animal health business tell you? I mean, what, you know,
well,
you see a lot.
I don't think we're going to, I don't have a sense that we're going to go into a recession this year. You know, I think if you would have asked any of us 2 years ago what's going to be the economic impact of a gasoline at $1.45 at the pump, I think we would have said it's going to help the economy.
Yeah.
It's going to help the economy.
Yeah.
But now we're seeing there's also downside in the energy sector, et cetera. But I think overall the fundamentals are pretty good. And I've got confidence in our economy, in the U.S. economy in particular.
John, good to see you. Thanks so much for stopping by. We appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you very much.
Dr. John Lechleiter joining us, CEO at Eli Lilly.